So what is going on, guys? NateDePritz93 here with another video, and today we got episode 6 of our Microsoft Office 365 on the iPad Pro, and today we're going to be focusing on Microsoft Teams, right? And Microsoft Teams is, again, Microsoft's collaboration, instant messaging, video chatting, again, the word is in there, Teams, so grouping of messaging. It's basically a way to communicate internally with internal employees and then create also ways to create an intranet, right? We're not really gonna go over that part, but it's mostly for internal use, internal data comparison, or internal data collaboration, and then also breaking off into different subcategories of teams. So you can have a team of just the HR department, a team of just your sales department, and then you can even use it for, the creative offices, right? Where team of just editors, team of just videographers. So that's what I like about Microsoft Teams, and it's pretty intuitive, it's gotten better, and we're gonna go over it today for episode 6 of the Microsoft series, guys. And huge shout out to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. A little bit more on them towards the end of this video, because without them, my Microsoft knowledge might not be as good as I want it to be, guys. But let's hop right into it. So guys, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, today we're going to talk about Microsoft Teams on the iPad Pro. Now keep in mind that the Microsoft Teams that I have is actually the normal public downloadable application for the iPad. There was no beta version of it, there was no software update, nothing crazy that was done, at least not in this round of betas, for the other applications that I've mentioned before. So this Teams is the one that anybody can download, and I just kind of want to go over, if we have that 13.4 cursor support, and then also go over multitasking support, and finally go over all the different features that it has and why it's a pretty good instant messaging platform, especially for internal company use or just internal use however you seem fit, guys. So if you hop right into Microsoft Teams, I'm going to show you guys the activity tab, right? So this is you normally when it opens up. And again, this is my corporate one, my work Teams, because that's the only real reason when I use it, just to communicate internally, send files back and forth, etc. So the first thing we're going to test out is, again, that 13.4 and higher cursor support that Apple released to see if this application has actually taken that over. So if we hover over the toolbar, as you can see, the mouse is doing exactly what it needs to do. If I go to the bottom bar, same thing. So overall, it's looking like it adopted that cursor support. Now let's try to multitask 2 instances of Microsoft Teams, which I have right here. If I pull this out, so you can see right here that it doesn't multitask, right? So it doesn't multitask with its own application. But if we do test out, for instance, let's try OneDrive, move this over, it does work. So again, we have the same situation that we had with actually OneDrive and also the older version of Excel, which is you could not have 2 instances of the application open at the same time. Why is that? I really don't know why Apple does that or why Microsoft is doing that, because I'm sure Apple has given them all the permission in the world. But as you can see, you can multitask with other Microsoft applications, and even if I wanted to open up a non-Microsoft application, it still multitasks, just so you guys are aware of that. But if we continue, I want to kind of walk through all the different features and all the different tabs down here for Microsoft Teams on the iPad Pro, because again, I use Microsoft Teams exclusively on the iPad Pro. If I start to video chat on Microsoft Teams on my MacBook Air with 8 gigabytes of RAM and still that poor Intel chip, you literally cannot do anything else on the computer. So it's either Microsoft Teams or nothing else. So that's why I like to have Microsoft Teams open on my iPad Pro, because that's the way I communicate, that's the way I video chat with employees, and so forth. So this is just the activity feed. So basically the last things that have happened, you can show off my activity, the feed, so incoming calls. And that's another beautiful thing about Microsoft Teams. You can sign up for Microsoft Teams as a VoIP service and have inbound and outbound calls directly to not only your iPad, but your phone and also your desktop. So that's the activity feed, very simple. And I'm going to go over here to the toolbar just to show you all the different options. So this is just my overall profile. I don't want to show that because it has my cell phone number and my work email, so I'm not going to show that. But you can set your availability, set a status message, turn on notifications, hit the settings for dark mode, show you data storage, and a bunch of other things like I showed you earlier. And then you can even go into the what's new, which is nice to kind of look through. Unfortunately, I can't click on the iOS portion right here, which is a little bit strange because it's recognizing that I'm pressing it, but I cannot press on it to see what's new on iOS. You're going to have to go online to figure that out. But then if we continue on, I like to go, this is the most used feature for me, right? This is the chat feature. This is where you can shoot off one-out messages to a single person, to a group of people. You can create a group just like any other messaging platform on the planet, including iMessage. And again, it just works like a normal messaging system. But the beauty of it is that it's tied to your OneDrive. So you can go into your files and see all the different things that were kind of shared back and forth within this single chat, right? You can go into the More section, see if there's any tabs, and at any point in time, you can press this phone button to do a VoIP call or press this camera button to do a video call at any point with this person right here. And then as you guys can see, I have groups in here with different employees and so forth and so on, and even one large group down here, which isn't an internal group, it's actually an external group. So you can do the same thing you can do with any other messaging platform where you can invite people who aren't Microsoft subscribers to join your Microsoft Teams group and then chat within it. Now that's going to be their only functionality if they don't have a Microsoft subscription, but you know that they're able to contact you, message with you, and if you need to reach them, you can just shoot them a message even if they're not Microsoft users. And then the next tab down here is a Teams tab, right? So this is, the end all be all of Microsoft Teams. This is where they're putting all their money on this Teams platform, right? So basically what it is you create teams within an organization. So right now we just have one large one company-wide. So any message that gets put on this message board goes to everybody's phone, everybody's iPad, everybody's Microsoft Teams. Again, at any point you can turn on a group chat, at any point you can turn off notifications, and then again, you can go through your files and you can see all the different files that have been shared throughout this messaging system or through this feed. Because as you guys can see down here, it's not really a chat box, it's for you to put a new post. So they call it post because it's not a direct message to everybody, but again, you can tag people and then people get notifications. It works a lot like WhatsApp in my opinion. And again, very intuitive, and you can easily add more people with this button right here. So this is your calendar tab. It syncs with your Outlook calendar. It syncs with any calendar invites that were sent through Teams. So it does that smart read where if any date and time is put onto the Microsoft Teams platform, it'll automatically read that and create a calendar invite for you. And then you can also add a manual calendar invite right here. So the next tab is the call section. So in this section, I don't really want to show because there's a lot of personal information on there, but this is where you can do outbound calls, you take inbound calls, you can add contacts. It kind of acts like an address book. So any internal employee information is all on there, phone, email, contact information, etc. And then the last tab over here is the Files tab, right? So this is where the cohesion with OneDrive and the Microsoft Suite really, really starts to take off. That's why it's connected to your OneDrive. So I've told you guys this time and time again. The beauty of the Microsoft Suite is if you're in it, if you have all of your work files or any other files in your OneDrive, then they're very easily accessible from any of the Microsoft Suite products on any platform, whether it be iOS, iPadOS, macOS, Windows OS, Linux OS, you guys name it. But there it is. As you can see, I can access all of my regular OneDrive files like I could before, and at the same time share them from here. So I can go here, click on this button, open, or send a copy, which is a beautiful thing to see. And then this last tab over here is just the More tab, so you can hit the camera button to open up the camera. You can hit the organizational chart. If you have an org chart, it'll show up here. Go straight to Wikipedia, all your save tabs, and then shifts. So shifts is just like, if you're in a company that has different shifts, then this is a great way to keep everybody organized and make sure that they're doing their task at certain times. So almost like a Monday.com situation. And then as you guys can see, I did want to do a couple more things. So let's open up OneDrive, pull this over here. So what I want to show you is to see if we can actually move files directly into this group chat right here. So if I grab this right here, if I can move it in here, can I drop it in? It seems like you can actually drop it in directly from the Files app. So that's a little bit of a disappointment, but I do actually want to check out maybe with Apple's native file app, if I move this over and then we go into the OneDrive from here, go to the files, then click on this. Again, it doesn't seem to be able to recognize that I can drop files in here. So what I've noticed is that the only way to really send files inside of Teams on iPadOS is through the Files tab inside of Microsoft Teams, because that way you can jump into whatever folder you have open, click on this, hit the three dots, and then you can send a copy, open an app, or just open inside of Teams, right? So other than that, you can't really directly send files. You can't drag and drop, unfortunately. So Microsoft Teams, there is a little bit of limitation, but in terms of communication, it's fully there. Video chatting is fully there. You can use external microphones. It works with your AirPods Pro. It works with plugged-in mics. So, as a communication device for internal employees, I think it's a great way to go. And I do believe that hopefully it's just going to continue to get better and also improve and kind of change up the things and really make it better for iPadOS, guys. But that's going to do it for this view. Let's get back to the normal view. So I wanted to take this opportunity at the end of the video to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Because as you know, Skillshare has been around for a little bit now, and they're an online learning platform with thousands and thousands and thousands of videos in a million different categories. So you can either go learn how to make a quick cup of coffee or learn how to program and set up a rocket jet engine, essentially, right? So there's a huge spectrum of just learning things to do, whether you want to pick up a new hobby, pick up a new skill to increase your career path, just Skillshare is just a great opportunity and a great way to learn at a simple price, right? And there's no hidden fees, it's a monthly subscription, and honestly, it beats probably going to college, guys. So I'm not saying use Skillshare instead of college, but for those people that are into self-learning, into self-improving, Skillshare is a great option, so I definitely recommend you guys check it out. And my recommendation is, if you guys are watching this Microsoft video, is use the Microsoft section of Skillshare. They don't have an iPad Pro dedicated video class, but they do have classes on overall functions and very in-depth functions for all the desktop class applications for Microsoft. And I'm taking a pivot table class right now so I can learn and start to actually create pivot tables and then show you guys that it is possible to manipulate and use them on the iPad Pro, hopefully in my next Excel episode for this series, because I'm going to continue to use this platform as a way to continue to update that series, because the software is going to change, the software is going to update, software is going to get better. It could take a month, 3 months, 6 months, but we're going to continue to kind of cover them, and as the updates come out, release new videos for the series. So again, huge shout out to Skillshare. If you guys want to learn something new, sign up with the first link in the description below, guys. Thank you again to them. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. Like I mentioned, Microsoft Teams is a great application to collaborate with. If you're in the Microsoft suite, in the Microsoft ecosystem, highly recommend downloading it on the iPad Pro, because on the iPad Pro, using it on the fly is amazing. Using it with the Magic Keyboard, even better. And it's just a very cool and easy way to communicate with people on the go, especially on the iPad Pro. And you can even run Microsoft Teams exclusively on the iPad Pro, because a lot of the functionality is already there, guys. But that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, guys, peace.